November is National Novel Writing Month. How many of you actually knew that? Did anyone actually know that? It's abbreviated NaNoWriMo, and nanowrimo.org is the website, and there are hundreds of thousands of people every year that write a novel in the month of November. 1 month, 50,000 words. That's the goal. Just put it down on paper. Get your ideas down on paper. And I saw one of those motivational posters, and it said National Novel Writing Month. And it had this big stack of papers. Not that anyone's going to read it, was the subtitle. But my daughter has done that now for a couple of times, and she's got a couple of 50,000 word novels. And what it did for her, I mean, she did it all throughout high school, what it did for her is she can sit down and just write, because you have to make yourself just write. And it's a discipline, and it's like running every day. You know, after about 3 days, the first time she did it, she came back to me and she said, "Dad, I had all these great ideas, and I ran out in 3 days. I have no new ideas. I finished what I thought was my entire plot in 3 days, and now I'm done, and I don't know what to do." And so I, helped her throw out some ideas and stuff like that. And she finished that one, but that novel, the plot goes like this, and it's just sort of this life. The next year, she had taken the summer and outlined her novel. Her outline was 15 pages long. She got through half of her outline and finished 50,000 words in the month. And the next year, she did the other half and finished 50. So it's like a 2-volume, set for the entire thing. So whatever you do, there's a National Novel Writing Month, and just do it. I mean, that's the whole principle of it. You just sit down. There's no editing. You never look back and edit. In fact, if you have to cross out a word, they say use strike through because it still counts in the word count. And the goal is not to write well. The goal is to get 50,000 words down on paper, and then you can go back and you could rewrite every chapter if you want, but to get that done. There's also another one that the same organization runs, and I think it's coming up in May, called Script Frenzy. If you've ever wanted to write a movie script, movie scripts are easier to write. They're only about, I think, 15,000 words instead of 50,000, and you just write your movie script out. And so it's another great discipline. If you've never written a movie script before, you could go to that. They're a little bit easier to write because they're a little bit sparser and have less words in them. So writing is another one. It's another part of the arts. It's another part of creativity. And a lot of times we're too busy with what we're doing to exercise our creative side. So what's really fun is to see a financial planning client who has a specific goal in mind. I want to play more in my band, or I want to learn to paint or play piano. And life planning is borrowing someone's watch to tell them what time it is. Because they say, I really wish I could learn to play piano. And we say, great. Here's 3 piano teachers in Charlottesville. Which one do you think you'd like to call? And they're like, you mean act on it? You actually want me to go and take action on it? And there's a wonderful book that we use sometimes with young people for life planning, career type life planning, and it's called I Could Do Anything I Wanted to If I Only Knew What It Was. And that's the full title. The author's written a shorter one called Wishcraft, which is her earlier book, and she found wishcraft was making dreams happen, but she wrote the second book because a lot of people didn't know what their dreams were. And she has a number of exercises in there to try to help you through. So if you have an idea and you think, I might be interested in doing this, like I might be interested in going back to school and learning Spanish, or going back to school and getting a master's degree in something. If you have some sort of a vague idea like that, she says take one day, and for one day, pretend like that is your goal, and do whatever you would do that one day if you were trying to move toward that goal. So what would it be? I would send away to the college to get an application to apply. And you do that one day. Well, then a couple weeks later, this application comes in the mail. It's like, well, now I have to decide, do I want to fill it out? And that it just starts hitting your heart. Am I excited about filling this out as I read through what this college has to offer or not? How do I feel about being a dentist? Do I like that or not? And a lot of kids will say, no, I thought that might be fun, but I can see from my reaction of getting this in the mail that it's not going to be fun. I'm not cut out to be a dentist. Let's go try something else. Or you'd call and you'd have your first piano lesson. So, my mom said she was going to take up flying, and she'd always say when she retired she was going to take up flying. So the three boys bought her a flying lesson one year for her birthday when she was retired. because she always said she was going to take up flying lessons. And she was like, I'm not sure I was serious about that. But she went out and she had her first flying lesson, and in your first flying lesson, you don't take off, you don't land, you steer while you're up there. And she was like, okay. Okay, I think I was just kidding. I wasn't interested in flying. So, you try out various things like that, and you just see how they're going to do. So, just moving towards something and taking steps towards it, or you share it with someone. And that's the difficulty of having a financial planner, is because when you share something with us, we write it down, and then we come back to it. So, what's the scoop on this? So we have one client, very well off, but very young. And what are you going to do? You're under 50 and you could retire and do nothing for the rest of your life. So they're starting a business. It's like, great. What a wonderful thing to do. They always kind of wanted to start a business and weren't really sure about it. They could lose money in their business for 20 years and they're still okay financially. But they're starting a business. So why not? I mean, I know a lot of businesses that start and lose money for 20 years. And they should never have started it in the first place. But if you're financially secure, you can start a business. And sometimes the difference between starting a business and having it succeed and fail is having enough money to keep it going long enough until it catches on, and you get the clientele, because that's very difficult. So why not? Probably half the people in this room could start a business and keep it running on deficit spending. And if you don't need a salary because you're retired, well, now they've got cheap labor to boot. And so you've got the whole thing there. And so why not start a business? I think it would be great. So again, it's what do you want to do? So one of them is the arts, music, theater, and writing. A fifth category, less common, but for people who this is their passion, it's very passionate. And that is, I want to call it sacred places. It often has to do with nature, the environment, the outdoors. So it may be gardening and that kind of. It's really sort of natural beauty, which is why I put it with the arts. So it may be something as simple as gardening and putting it all in place, or it may be standing in a redwood forest. This is just. I don't know if you've ever been to Redwood National Forest in just north of San Francisco. Every time I go out there, I think to myself, should I go there or not? And about half the time I end up going there just to stand in the redwood forest and be there. To me, it's an amazing place, and I can't get over the feeling when I get there. Malcolm Hughes, the artist who did our painting, has a painting he did of the redwood forest, and it's about this size, maybe not quite that long, and there's some people in it. And to me, he successfully has captured as best you can in a painting sort of the feel and image of what it's like to be there. But that's one of the places that I would consider a sacred place.